Hello everyone, and welcome back to Extra Time. Great to have you all here again. Today, we are talking about a match that took place a little while ago, but one that absolutely deserves to be remembered. It wasn't just another final, it was a true football spectacle, a clash of generations, a battle between two footballing philosophies, and at the same time, a stage for one of the most outstanding individual performances we have seen in international football in recent years. I am talking, of course, about the 2025 Nations League final between Portugal and Spain. I know the game took place a few months ago, but that's exactly why it's worth revisiting. Sometimes you need a bit of distance to fully understand how special a performance really was. And what Nuno Mendes delivered that night was, quite simply, world class. In this video, I want to take you back through the final, break down the key moments, highlight the tactical nuances, and of course, focus on Nuno Mendes' incredible performance. Toward the end, I will also take a look at how both national teams are shaping up right now, where they stand, their strengths, and what we can expect from them in the near future. Before the match, the setup. Before kickoff, the situation was pretty clear. Spain went into the match as the big favorite. They had just beaten France 5-4 in the semi-finals, a scoreline that looks tighter than the match actually was. Spain dominated for long stretches, showing fluid movement, confidence, and technical brilliance from their young midfielders. Portugal, on the other hand, had earned a hard-fought 2-1 win over Germany. It was a deserved victory, but not quite on the same technical level as Spain's performance against France. Many experts viewed Portugal as the underdog, a side full of experience, yes, but maybe lacking that effortless rhythm and creativity that characterized Spain's game. Still, this final carried weight. Even though the Nations League is a relatively young competition, it's becoming increasingly respected, and you could see how much it meant to both sides. There was also an emotional subtext to the match. A clash of generations between Cristiano Ronaldo, still leading his country at 40, and Lamine Yamal, the teenage wonder kid who's being called the future of world football. And then there was Nuno Mendes, the player who would end up stealing the entire show. The lineups, quality everywhere. Looking at the starting 11s, it was obvious this would be a high-quality encounter. For Spain, there were no real surprises. In midfield, Fabian Ruiz, Zubimendi, and Pedri formed a technically gifted trio, capable of controlling any game through possession and intelligence. Out wide, Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams brought pace, flair, and directness, a nightmare for any defense. Portugal, meanwhile, relied on chemistry and experience. The PSG trio of Vitinha, Nuno Mendes, and Nuno Mendes gave them a natural understanding of each other's movements. Add to that the creative leadership of Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, and the defensive stability of Ruben Dias, all anchored by captain Cristiano Ronaldo. It was clear from the start, this wasn't going to be an ordinary match. The match, a final worthy of its name. From the opening whistle, the intensity was electric. Spain immediately took control, keeping the ball and dictating the tempo with confidence. In the first 15 minutes, they forced Portugal deep into their own half and created two big chances. Then came the opening goal. Zubimendi scored after a flowing team move that perfectly captured Spain's rhythm. At that point, the lead was fully deserved. Portugal hadn't yet found their footing. But then, Nuno Mendes made his first big impact. Out of nowhere, he drove forward from the left, cut inside with power, and unleashed a perfectly placed shot into the corner, 1-1. It was a goal that summed up his entire performance. Fearless, decisive, technically sharp, and full of confidence. After the equalizer, the match turned into an open battle. Spain remained dominant in possession, but Portugal's counterattacks became more dangerous. Just before halftime, Oyarzabal restored Spain's lead after a brilliant through ball from Pedri. At the break, Spain led 2-1, a fair result, but far from a safe one. Second half, Portugal fights back. After halftime, Portugal came out like a different team. They were aggressive, intense, and hungry. You could tell they believed they could turn it around. They even had an early equalizer disallowed for offside. Bruno Fernandes had strayed just a step too far forward. But soon after, the moment that changed everything arrived, and once again, Nuno Mendes was right in the middle of it. Charging down the left flank, he simply burned past Lamine Yamal with explosive pace, whipped in a dangerous cross that took a deflection, and Cristiano Ronaldo was there to finish. 2-2. Game on. What followed was pure drama. Both teams pushed for a winner, each creating half chances. Spain tried to regain control, but Portugal were now the more dangerous side. In extra time, Nuno Mendes and Rafael Leao wreaked havoc on Spain's right side. Their energy, quick 1-2s, and relentless dribbles constantly forced Spain onto the back foot. As fatigue set in during the second half of extra time, both teams slowed down, but the tension remained sky high. And in the end, it all came down to penalties, where Portugal held their nerve and won. A deserved victory, in my opinion. From the second half onward, Portugal were the sharper, braver, and more dangerous team. Nuno Mendes, a performance for the ages. Now let's talk about what truly made this match special. Nuno Mendes' performance. What this young left-back did that night was nothing short of exceptional. Right from the start, he made it clear he was ready for the challenge. Up against Lamine Yamal, one of the best young dribblers in world football, Mendes showed perfect timing, discipline, and anticipation. While others often struggle to contain Yamal, Mendes calmly neutralized him, cutting out passing lanes and winning duels again and again. His goal to make it 1-1 was the first major statement, a powerful, precise strike into the corner. And later, his assist for Ronaldo's equalizer showcased his intelligence and attacking instinct. As the game went on, you could see Yamal's confidence fade. He stopped taking on Mendes one-on-one, drifted inside more often, and rarely got past him. That's how dominant Mendes was. In extra time, while most players were running on empty, Mendes still had fuel left. His stamina, pace, and athleticism stood out. He continued to drive forward, create overloads, and shut down counters. And then came the cherry on top. When it was time for penalties, Mendes stepped up, took responsibility, and smashed his shot into the top corner. A strike that perfectly summed up his evening. Confident, ruthless, unstoppable. Statistically, he led Portugal in duels, had one of the highest pass completion rates, and contributed directly to both goals. But beyond numbers, it was the aura, the dominance, the sheer presence that made his performance unforgettable. This wasn't just a good game, it was a world-class performance, one we'll be talking about for years. Vitinha, the underrated architect. Another player who deserves credit is Vitinha. He might not always be the flashiest player on the pitch, but his intelligence, vision, and composure were crucial. He constantly connected defense and attack, dictated tempo, and played the pass that initiated Mendes' run for the 2-2 equalizer. He's the kind of player who makes everything around him smoother. You rarely see him lose the ball, and he always seems to know exactly where his teammates are. In a game as fast and tense as this one, that kind of composure is priceless. Putting it in perspective, to truly understand what Nuno Mendes did, we need to see the bigger picture. This wasn't a one-off. He has already shown similar dominance for PSG in the Champions League against top-class opponents like Mohamed Salah or even Lamine Yamal again when facing Barcelona. It might still be early to make bold claims, but let's be honest. Performances like this are no coincidence. Still only in his mid-20s, Mendes is already an automatic starter for both PSG and Portugal, and he's becoming the type of player who can single-handedly change games. In this kind of form, he is for me the best left-back in the world right now. He combines everything you could want from a modern full-back. Speed, strength, technique, intelligence, endurance, and a dangerous shot. He's equally effective going forward and defending, something that's incredibly rare at this level. Looking ahead, Spain and Portugal. To wrap things up, let's take a quick look at the future of these two national teams. Spain, for me, are currently the most complete footballing nation in terms of style and cohesion. Their passing game, their technical level, and their tactical understanding are on another level. With players like Pedri, Lamine Yamal, Nico Williams, and Zubimendi, they have built a young, balanced squad that could dominate for years to come. If they continue on this path, they're my clear favorites for the 2026 World Cup in the United States. Portugal, meanwhile, are in a fascinating transition phase. They have world-class talent across the board, from veterans like Ronaldo, Bernardo Silva, and Bruno Fernandes, to young stars like Nuno Mendes, Vitinha, João Neves, and Rafael Leao. The potential is massive, but consistency will be key. After a disappointing Euro 2024, this Nations League run showed how good they can be when everything clicks. The challenge now is to bring that level to every major tournament match. But one thing's for sure. When Portugal play like they did in this final, they're capable of beating anyone. Final thoughts. A match to remember. The 2025 Nations League final between Portugal and Spain was more than just a football game. It was a battle between two generations, two philosophies, and the emergence of a new superstar on the global stage. Nuno Mendes. With one goal, one assist, a flawless defensive display, and a calmly converted penalty, he didn't just help Portugal lift the trophy, he announced himself as one of the elite players in world football. If he continues on this trajectory, we're looking at a player who could define his position for years to come. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more in-depth analyses, and tell me in the comments which game or which player you'd like me to break down next. Maybe it will be the next superstar like Nuno Mendes. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any new uploads. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Extra Time.